For everybody out there, they should already know who you are, but Fiona O'Brien, one of our faves. When did I meet? We met at Orangeville. That was the first show we did together, right?
It was, but we were following each other on Facebook.
Yeah, we were the Facebook friends. We flew in Fiona from Ireland for that show.
Yes, and now I got stuck here with quarantine.
Yeah. I love
Let's go with that story. Hi, Mitch.
Hi, Fiona. Good to see you again.
You too, Howard. Congratulations on the baby.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Are you tired?
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
Get used to it, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I would borderline right now take a newborn over quarantine homeschooling.
Oh, my God. I swear to God. I went upstairs I think I was going to the bathroom having a shower. And in the space of 15 minutes, one son came in to say somebody sent him a text message, didn't know who it was from. The other son came in to show me a new magic trick that he had just learned. Then I came out of the bathroom and he had another magic show he had to show me. And then my daughter wanted to ask me, could she go and meet her friends? I was like, oh my, could you just give me 5 minutes?
I got to ask, how old's the magician?
The magician is just turned 11.
Oh, perfect age.
Perfect age. Like he's great because he still thinks I'm amazing and believes everything I say, which I like, but I know that that's not going to last.
Like it's borderline now.
Yeah. And he's listening to the other two. One's a teenager and the other one's turning 13 in August. So.
Oh, it's the young one. It's the trail. It's the caboose.
Yeah.
I got two. I don't know how you giddy up for the third. Like I knew for sure.
Let me tell you. And I've told him he's not supposed to be here.
Mommy had some wine.
Oh, do you know what? I actually thought I was hungover and I was out with friends at dinner and my friend was like, oh my God, you're not going to believe who's pregnant. And I was like lowering the wine going, no way, you. And then I discovered the next day I was.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, like in Ireland you weren't allowed to get rid of them. So.
Oh,
but they changed that, didn't they? Just lately, didn't they?
They changed it lately, but it's no good to me, DJ.
They don't let you post-date that?
No.
Grandfather to clause that in?
That's what I said. That's why I called up the Irish government and asked could I get rid of two of them.
Amazing. So for everyone out there, Fiona and I, and Fiona met Mitch the same day. We threw a show in Orangeville. I was working with Dave Green, local guy. He was the first guy on the podcast. And I said, like, we need a female comedian. He's like, get Fiona. She's the best in the GTA. And we got you, and you destroyed that night. It was so much fun. It was such a fun night, but that's when we met. And then we did one of Jarvie's shows together too. And again, you did amazing there. Basically you're kind of taking over, the GTA. Come on. I know you're making a face, but you're getting a lot of opportunities right now.
Yes. Yeah. And COVID just messed it all bloody up. I was really looking this year for me, it was getting better. And I was getting more stage time, which is what we all strive for, and getting paid, which is what we all strive for. And the album had just been recorded, and
magically
Malicious.
Yeah, Malicious, right.
And so it was coming out on St. Patrick's Day because I'm milking all that plastic paddy Irish money. And so I had so many gigs booked for all around St. Patrick's Day. And the album released, and then COVID hit literally that week. And so everything shut down. And but I had, opportunities have been coming my way. And I'm still newish and I'm still learning and growing. And I love it. And so I love getting any stage time and going out and doing it. And I'm sure you're missing it. I'm missing it big time.
Oh, it's like I love sports. I love baseball. I work in hockey part-time. I love sports. I could I'm surviving fine without sports, but not having comedy is killing me. Like absolutely killing me.
Have you done any online shows?
No.
Okay, so I did a few Zoom shows.
Chaz.
Okay, and they're you know what, you kind of get your fix a little bit depending on what kind of show it is. I did one on Twitch where you can't hear people laughing, but they're typing, so they're literally typing LOL. So you're on the screen and these words are coming up beside you, and you're trying to tell your jokes and tell stories and trying not to read the feedback. It's so distracting. And then I did a few on Zoom, and they decided to let a few of the people laugh. So just say there was 40 people at the show. They would leave off 5 mics, could stay on, and so people could laugh. But then, you know, you get some people who are laughing, which is fabulous. Not like for all the comics, I don't mean just me, like way too much. And we're like, okay, we need to cut him off. He's got a crazy laugh. Open up someone else's mic. It's like you're auditioning laughs.
Yeah. I feel like those Zoom shows, and there's nothing wrong with it. I get it. And I think they're probably going to continue because there's a bunch of people, once everything's normal, like there's isolated people that have found this thing that they like. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of these Zoom shows like continue, but I feel like it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like porn, right? You're just watching porn instead of having sex. Like, it's like you're almost there, but it's not there.
What you're talking about, DJ?
Yeah.
It's just not the same as the real thing.
Okay, we don't have that in Ireland.
Just no porn?
Of course there is. Well, there used to be, but there is, yeah.
I'm sure there's a whole, I bet I could type that in later and find some very specific.
We just have the church.
Oh. We're going there, eh? So our podcast's getting taken down.
No, we're not going there. Do you know what I got asked? Somebody asked me on Gig Salad, are you on Gig Salad to get hired for gigs? And literally you just put up, it's like a...
I know what it is, yeah.
Resume, yeah. And somebody wanted to hire me for a birthday, for a man's birthday, to come and do the comedy in his front garden, and they'd sit him in the front door with his family and to do like a 40-minute show. And I was just like, I don't think I can do that.
40 minutes?
Yes, in a front garden with no mic, just talking into someone's door. And like the audience was him, his wife, and I think his kids. Like, and I was like, yeah, no thanks. Somebody else might want to do it.
What's the number? Because there's always a number that would make you do that.
I was like, yeah, no, I'll pass on that one. I can't. I'm not available that night.
Yeah. Are you at the point where you're full-time comedy?
No. Well, do you know what? This year, I'm hoping by the end of the year, maybe. By the end, if things, it depends. I have no idea where all of this is going. I mean, I got hired, and I was just talking to one, Leonard Chan. Do you know Leonard Chan? He's a great comic. He's a friend of mine, and we were just chatting earlier, and I said I got hired to do a festival in September, if festivals are allowed to happen, and I always pronounce this wrong, Sault Ste. Marie? Sault Ste. Marie? Okay. So I got asked to go up there to do a festival for 2 nights in September, and it's good pay, and I'm thrilled that I'm getting asked and offered stuff, but it may not happen.
Yeah, the Sioux's pretty isolated. Hopefully
they're going to phase 2.
Yeah, I'm sure they are already in phase.
Yeah, they're all by themselves, but yeah, it's so weird because you don't know, right?
So I don't know. So if that kind of thing keeps happening, and if money starts coming in from the album, then I do have a part-time job that it's fine. It helps me pay the bills. I don't know if I talked about it on stage that night. But it's so ridiculous. I sell prebiotics, it's potato starch, and I swear to God they hired me because I'm an Irish woman selling potatoes.
Yes,
and I go
little on the nose.
Yes, and I go into health food stores, and so everyone knows about probiotics, and it's good for your gut and your intestines. So now you're supposed to be taking prebiotics, which feeds your healthy bacteria. Anyway, so I'm, you have this mad Irish woman standing in all Healthy Planets and all these health stores, talk to people about prebiotics, and they're selling and people want them, but I think they just want to hear an Irish woman say potatoes. And that's why they're saying.
Who cares? Give them what they want, man.
Yes. And so between the 3 kids, I usually do that 3 times a week when they're at school. And then usually I would have, maybe 2 or 3 gigs a week, maybe. But I would love to be just making a living from comedy. I mean, that would be the dream.
But that's cool now with the album, right? Because now when you do a gig, you say like, hey, go buy if you like this, go buy my album, support, and you can like double dip almost, right?
Yes. And also, if you get on radio in Canada, you're guaranteed airplay. You're making money every time a track gets played. And also in America, then if you get into America, you can make even more. So Tyler Morrison, you know Tyler Morrison. Okay.
I know the name.
Yes.
Again.
So he's a fabulous comic, and he's been around a good while. And so he came to me about doing the album, and I was looking I wanted to work with somebody on the album because I'd never done one before, but I knew I was ready to do one. And so he runs Cottage Comedy, and he's up in Bracebridge. And so I'd done some shows with him. I'd been at festivals with him. We talked it through for about 1.5 years. And then I said, okay, I'm going to record it. And then if you could co-produce it, I would love you to take it under your label. And he's done great comedy. He's done Mike Wilmot, and he's done Michelle Shaughnessy, and just did Pete Johansson. And who else? And who was nominated for the Juno? Jared Campbell. And so he's done really good comics. So I was like, well, he's worked with great people, so I would like to be associated there. And so he helped me. He co-produced it, him and Tyler Shazma, and we released it. And so he sent it out then to SiriusXM and to put it on iTunes and did all of that. And that was in March. And then I'd be in touch, any news. And he's like, it'll take a couple of months, and with COVID, it takes a while. But he messaged me last week to say that SiriusXM have taken all the tracks off and I'm going to start airing it. And I know, and then some stations in America are interested in it too. So I'm delighted with that. Nice,
that's awesome.
Because then you're earning money from your jokes. You have a farther reach. Other people are hearing you, and then you don't know what that will lead to. Somebody else will hire you for gigs.
Someone hears you, laughs. Who knows?
That's wicked.
The more places it is, the more chances to get heard.
Exactly. And if you're getting airtime, like all the comics, that make their money from comedy, they all have, if not one, at least 2 or 3 albums out. And they're getting those tracks, and every time a track plays, you're getting paid.
Yeah, we have like locally. You probably get it in Toronto too. It's in Hamilton, right? Funny 820.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know it. And isn't Patrick Coppolino in there?
Well, him and Manolis have a show. They have a show once a week, but like it's literally just an AM radio station that plays comedy all day.
Okay.
So it's just another, it's through
another
Bell.
One to send it to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's through Bell Media. Yeah. Yeah. Let me, if they need, I have a few contacts. Not that matters, but I can see if I can.
Yeah, great. My thing is, I made sure there was no F-bombs in it when I recorded it, because I wanted it to be able to be played on the radio. And but it's still on iTunes. They marked everything explicit. And I think they just put female Irish comic explicit. There's an E beside every single track. And I'm like, I don't even say anything bad there.
Now, out of curiosity, after recording the album and seeing how important the tracks are for resale, does that change how you write bits and thinking of the tracks?
Yeah, I really thought about that, like when I was writing to record the album. So when I had to edit what I already had, I had to break it down. I had to make sure there were no callbacks. Like I can't do a callback to a joke that I did earlier in the set because they may be just playing a 1-minute track.
Oh.
And won't make sense. And there's all these things you have to think about. Obviously, trying not to do anything about somebody who's already in the room or something that's very current and ages the track. And so I really kind of thought about that when I was doing it. And some of the tracks are like 40 seconds. Some might be 2 minutes and 30 seconds. But Tyler, that's where I needed Tyler to come in and help me with the producing of it. Like I know Mitch, you did some subtitles for me.
Yes.
And broke down the video from Orangeville, which you did a great job because I'm using that video. Those clips are brilliant.
Well, thank you.
It was such a good video and it looks so professional. And I put one up on TikTok and some guy, I don't know who he is, I'm going to kill him if I get my hands on him, but he took it and put it on his TikTok. I'm the original content, but he has something like 204,000 views and 50,000 likes and now people are doing impersonations of me doing that one of your clips that you edited and did the subtitles for me.
But that's what TikTok is, right?
Yeah.
How does that feel seeing other people do your bits though? Like that's got to be a cool feeling.
It's really weird. I'm looking at it going, I'm not offended, I'm thrilled. And then I kind of go, oh my God, what if they steal my jokes? And then I'm like, no, it's actually, they're giving me a compliment. They're saying this joke is good enough that I'm going to learn the words of it and I'm going to record it on TikTok. And so for me, I go, oh my God, people like are really liking it.
Because
so it's very, very flattering.
They use your voice still, right? Like they just like mime it.
Lip sync.
What am I looking for? Lip sync. But
and some of the funniest ones are like men that are lip syncing an Irish mammy's voice.
Which bit is it? Which bit?
Oh, it's the bit about dropping the kids to school in the morning and the teacher's like, "Ooh, Mr. Brown, off to the pub." Yeah. And so it's spreading like wildfire on TikTok, but it doesn't. He didn't tag me in the original, so I messaged him, and so on the on where he has it now. And this is TikTok. If it's under 15 seconds, they don't have to do copyright or something. There's some loophole anyway. And
that's how they get all that music.
Exactly. They have all the latest hits and everyone's doing them and nobody's getting paid.
It's cool.
But I'm very flattered. People are hearing my stuff, and if they're that interested, they'll click the original and see it's me, and then it'll bring them to my page.
Yeah, Dave Green.
It's killing it on TikTok.
Because his stuff is made for TikTok.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. I was talking to I was talking to Mark Breslin, actually, of Yuck Yucks. And I was just asking, so social media is what in terms of importance to you? He's like, as a club owner, it's not at all. Like if a comedian doesn't have a couple 100,000, it doesn't affect ticket sales. So like for us it is because we're just trying to get our name out there and whatever, but like you have to be really killing it, it sounds like, to really move the needle, I guess. Yeah, I think so. And then it takes just, I mean, I showcased for Mark last year, and I thought the showcase went really well. And I have done loads of Yuck Yuck stages, but I'm not on the Yuck Yucks official roster. Which with me, I'm okay. I'm kind of like a lone wolf out there going, but that means I can do all the stages. Yeah, you can piece it together, right? There's pros and cons to all of that stuff, right? Yeah. And I'm fortunate, touch wood, at the moment that I'm getting work, and people contact me and are looking for me to do their shows, which I'm blown away by, and I'm thrilled with that. When are you going to, well, obviously you can't now because of COVID, but I think for you, it would be much more natural to be able to go to Ireland and Britain too, and start trying to do that. Is that in your world? I don't think so. Not that I wouldn't. I would definitely go over and tour and do bits of, as I'm an Irish person living there. I will live here now. I did comedy in Ireland, or went home. So last year, the year before, I went home and I went and did comedy in a bar in Ireland. And of course, all my cousins arrived. And, and so there's about 48 of my family in one tiny room.
and then other comics and other people. And so we did the show, and it was great. It's a very different scene. Like, you'll get a lot of heckling, you know. With the Canadians are very polite.
Imagine that. Because
I
we
know.
have some stories that make us think they're not.
Wow.
Well, I think they're very polite, but in Ireland, oh my God, I got heckled so much, and it was mainly my brothers and cousins. But I would love to, you know, I still feel very new to this game. I'm only doing this like 5-6 years. I still feel very new and very fresh, and I still have a lot to learn, but I'm really enjoying the whole journey of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only a year and a bit. Mitch is what, 3?
3 years. Now, I read that did you get your start? I read this in the Irish Times that you got your start after doing a Second City class. How important do you think that was to getting out there for you?
I think it just kind of pointed me in the right direction. I went in. I had written a lot of stuff, and I didn't know what to do with it. And I was new, and I didn't know anybody to ask. I was new in the country. And so I looked up and I saw, well, they do a stand-up class. And I said, okay, well, I'll pop in and see what it's about. And I went in, and Jim McAleese was my tutor, and he has done late night TV and been a comic for years. And we got on really well, and he really helped me. And what I found I got from that class was it helped me declutter what I'd written and go, right, you need, you know, your setup, your premise, your setup, your punchline. You know, you think of this like it's work, like you're writing, and because I'd be very much into just telling stories, very Irish. And it really helped me in, you need to start from the bottom. You are going to be standing in the corner of a basement of a pub or a bar, and there might be 2 drunk fellas at the bar, and you still have to be professional and get up and do your time and do your set and treat everybody with respect. So in that way, it was good teaching you the ropes of when you're starting from scratch with everybody else, and just if you're professional and you're respectful, you have good jokes and good timing, and you work well with people, you'll keep going. So it really helped me that way. I did that course for, I think it was about 5 months, and we would go in. Have you ever done the course?
No.
Okay, so you go in. Well, I would go in with the writing, and we would sit and we'd write for about 3 or 4 hours and talk and, you know, flesh things out. And then you had to get up on stage and perform at the end of every class in front of your class. And of course, nobody's laughing or listening. We're all tired at that stage, but it got me used to being up there and moving the mic stand and just the logistics of everything. Stuff that you wouldn't even think about, that you shake the hands of the host and then make sure you always shake their hand when they come back, and make sure the mic is back centered, ready for the next person. And just all these simple things that we all take for granted now. But when you're new, you haven't a clue what to do. So it helped me with that.
We've all seen the guy at the open mic with like it just still in the stand, or like they take it out and the stand's still in front of them, or we've all seen that person, right? Because we're all learning, right? Y'all have someone's, and then they come off and we say, hey, next time do this, right? Like everybody learns.
You do, and you either learn by someone telling you, or you learn by watching it and doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that course with Jim, and then when you graduated, they did a show at Absolute Comedy. And then, so you have to get up in front of an actual audience. And so you were working on a 5-minute bit to perform in public. And so that's what we did. And then I signed up for the second course to keep doing it. But during the second course, I was out and I had started doing open mics. So I just went on to the Toronto Stand-Up Community Facebook page and got the list of all the open mics. And I was just literally working my way through all the open mics and meeting people, building contacts. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
I think we all have like similar, like I didn't take a Second City class, but you know Matt Serena in Hamilton?
Yes. Yeah,
So
I know one.
he had the First Timers Comedy Club he ran for a while.
Yeah.
Which was just at a bar once a month. It was a few people who had done comedy before, but they had to do brand new bits, or it was people just trying comedy for the first time.
Yeah.
So I did that twice, learned, and then did the same thing as you, just the Hamilton boards, the Niagara boards, and met people and kept going, right?
And I think what really helps is, I know this is awful, but I had a car, and I could go to Hamilton because I'm Burlington, Oakville, so I could go downtown Toronto, or I could go into Hamilton or go around Niagara or wherever. And I made sure that I was trying to meet people from all sides.
It's crazy how important networking is in the comedy world, at least around here. I find anyways, like, I always say, like, wherever I'm going, I just want to meet people, say hi. And then I almost treat every spot like a tryout, because you don't know what new comic's going to be there, who knows someone else who can vouch for you later, right?
I mean, I guarantee you that nearly all of the gigs I've ever done have come from other comics. Other comics have either worked with you or recommended you, or they will come directly to you and go, I know you've got this solid bit, I'm putting on a show, will you be on it? And it's all through other comics and meeting them out at open mics and at different shows and supporting comedy rooms. Like, if I wasn't on a show, I would still go and support a room. If I wasn't on a show, or I was going to do an early set, I would still go and watch a full comedy show. And I think the most important thing I would tell anybody new, and I tell myself this, is stay and watch the whole show and introduce yourself and talk to the headliner. And because so many comics come, do their set, and then fly off to another room, do their set, fly off to another room, but they're not learning, because you want to watch the headliner. They're the experienced person. You want to know their timing, you want to see how they are with the crowd, you want to see how they interact if someone heckles. You learn from those people. So I found I would watch a lot of headliners. I still do, because we all love comedy. That's the main thing.
That's why we do it.
Yeah. And so between Second City, going out doing open mics, always staying and watching the headliners and trying to learn from them. I guess that's how I started. And I hope to keep going like that.
How many nights do you grind? Like, how many nights you're out?
It depends. It depends. If I'm away, or if I have to go up north or something like that, I might be like 3 nights in a row, 4 nights in a row, and then I may not have something the next week. I'm usually 2 a week, usually 2 shows a week. And I have the kids, so it's different for me. I can't be out hitting a room every single night. You know yourself, you've got a family.
Yeah.
So I try and do as much as I can online. I'll always try and put out a joke on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram, just have a presence. And then I will always try and have at least 1 or 2 shows a week. If I go to Ottawa and I'm doing Yuck Yucks, and I might have like 3 or 4 shows in a row. Or if I go up north, I seem to get a lot of stuff up around the Muskoka area. So I'll make sure that I have, a couple up there, and then work my way down. I might hit somewhere in Barrie on the way down and do a show. And so I've done that a couple of times.
Yeah, it's tough with a family. I try to do 2 or 3 a week. Mm-hmm. But it just is tough. And like, Toronto's a bit of a hike for me anyways. Like, I work a 9 to 5, right? So like, going into Toronto on like a Wednesday sucks. Mm-hmm. Because it's, you're there till 11 or 12, and then it's an hour and a half drive home, trying to sort yourself, and then I'm up at 6 o'clock, right?
Do you know what really helped? Do you know what really helped my comedy? Divorce.
Well, it gave you material.
Gave me material, but also he takes the kids a few nights a week.
Yeah,
so I'm like, woohoo! So he takes them every Tuesday night, and then every second weekend from Friday till Monday. So when I don't have the kids, I make sure I'm out there.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And so then I don't have to worry, like you're saying, getting back home. I can come in at any time. I don't have to be up early the next morning with the kids. I have to say, I mean, the divorce, not that I'd recommend anyone get divorced, but it freed up a whole load of time for me.
But it also, I mean, well, maybe I shouldn't speak about you or your relationship, but did it change your mindset too? Like just, I mean, I'm assuming if you get divorced, it's because life's not in the place you want it to be. So maybe it gets you in that happier, I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously we were both unhappy, and that's why we ended up getting the divorce. And I wrote comedy for a guy in Ireland who used to do stand-up. Just a friend, like, he wasn't like a big headliner or anything. So I always used to write it, and I used to say, oh, I'd love to do it. But I never had the time. The kids were very, very young. And when we moved here, it kind of, the relationship ending kind of gave me the kick in the arse to go, right, I should be doing what I want to do. And why haven't I carved out this career that I've always wanted? You know, yes, I love having a family. Yes, I love having kids. But why should I sacrifice? You know, I should be doing something that I would like to do. And not that my ex ever stopped me from doing that. I just had never tried it. And so when the marriage started to end, I kept myself very busy and focused on comedy. And it kind of was like my therapy. It got me through because I wasn't sitting around feeling sorry for myself and going, oh, my marriage is ending. I was like, right, this isn't great, but let's keep busy, keep focused, and let's work towards something.
Yeah, for sure. So we're running out of time. We got like 8 minutes. So
Oh, wow.
I gotta, yeah, it's Zoom doesn't F around. They want your money, right? So,
Yeah.
I gotta ask you about this, and I don't know what's going on with it now, but you were going to be in the Halifax Comedy Festival,
Yes.
and like in Canada, JFL and the Halifax Comedy Festival are like two of the biggest ones that you want to go to. Maybe there's one in Winnipeg too.
Winnipeg. Yeah.
But like those are like the ones you aim for. So just how'd that come about? What's happening with that?
That came about each year. They will open up, you know, send in clips, send in videos. We're starting to book for the festival. And I would always send Winnipeg, JFL, you know, Halifax. And even in the early years when I was sending them, and I knew I was too fresh and too new, and, you know, but I nearly kind of wanted them just to see me going, I'm hoping they could see a progression, or, oh, she's improved, or, you know, we'll keep an eye on her. She might blossom into something, or she could quit. So I would always submit. And it was actually David Green was on, and he was submitting the same time as me, and we were just saying hi to each other, and he was booking me for a show. And he said, oh, I'm just submitting for Halifax or Winnipeg. I said, oh, so I'm here doing mine. And we all submit. And I was sitting having lunch with friends, and I just got an email from one of the directors, and said, you know, we'd love to invite you to come to the Halifax Festival in September. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, it was so funny because you're not supposed to tell anybody until they release it. And I was sitting there with a friend, and I went, oh my God, I've just been asked. And then I went, oh, actually, forget it. Don't say anything to anybody. Because it's all supposed to be top secret. So luckily, my friend I could trust. I was like, just forget anything I said. And she didn't say anything, obviously. But yeah, so I just submitted. And I noticed that the people who run the festival had friend requested me on Facebook maybe 2 years ago. So I knew they'd heard me on CBC. I did. Ian Sirota hired me to do a gig and CBC LOL with Ali Hassan. And so they'd heard me on radio. And the woman messaged me and said, we've heard you on radio. We got your clip, and we'd love you to be part of the festival this year. So it is still happening. It's been moved to October.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, because I was like, I can't believe it. This was huge for me. I know other people have done it loads of times, but for me, this is my
Doesn't
first
matter.
big, huge one. I was so excited. And then you're going to be on
venue
TV,
you're doing?
and, you know, and it's CBC, and you're working with all the professionals, and so it was great. So it's happening now the end of October, as far as I know.
Do you know what venue you're doing?
I have got the Seahorse Tavern, and then I'm doing one of the galas.
Awesome. Good for you.
Yeah, I've got 4 shows. 2 of them will be taped, and then 2 of them are just for other people and things like that.
Just shows, yeah.
So it's 4 shows, and then you go and you stay in a hotel, and you're with a whole bunch of comics. It's going to be great. I might have the odd drink when I'm finished my set.
When you're finished, yeah. one of the guys that did this this podcast with us, one of the first ones, the second one actually, is my buddy Scott. I curled with him when I was a kid, but he owns a microbrewery in Halifax, and they're one of the venues, like one of the smaller venues. So I was just curious.
Okay, yeah, because I'm doing a Barrel of Laughs as well in a smaller venue.
Well, that's not what it's.
I'll get the names and message you because I'm going to 4 different venues.
That's awesome. Yeah, if it's the why can't I think of the name right now, Mitch?
New Scotland
Brewery, microbrewery.
I haven't seen that on my list, but it could be on the list.
Yeah, anyway, he's just a buddy of mine. I was curious.
Okay.
That would have been cool if you had got to meet him and stuff. But
Yeah.
that's awesome. I love that it's still happening, and I love that you
yeah.
get to experience it because.
Well, do you know what? Because David Green asked me to do a show at the Niagara, the Ontario Performing Centre.
Yep.
And so I was due to do that, but then Kojiko TV or someone was going to be filming it. And so he said, "Can you come and do it? Can you do it on Zoom? And they're gonna film it and put it on TV."
Yeah.
And I said, "I can't." I said, "Because I've signed a contract with the CBC for Halifax."
Yeah.
And the contract is that you can't have been on Canadian television before. It has to be new content and I've already submitted my script to them. So I told him I would do it, but then he told me the TV were going to do it. Would that change things? And I said, sadly, it does. I can't. I have to wait for Halifax.
Yeah, they know what. Yeah, they have to approve everything with CBC, right? It just is
absolutely.
what it is.
And even one of the jokes, they came back and they were like, "Could you rewrite this?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll do whatever you want me to do."
I mean, I'm just so excited because, as you know, there are people in everything. I find comedians are pretty good, but there's some people that you're just like, oh my God, you're the worst. And I love when people like you who are like, I've only met you a handful of times, but we get along great. You're just an awesome person. So I love seeing like good people have success. I love it. It makes me happy.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's just the truth.
I've met so many good people, and yeah, there's a few egos and a few gobshites, and we all just avoid them. But do you know what? That's what I'm really missing. I'm missing seeing everyone and having the laugh. And even you're just together for like 2 hours, you chat, you have a drink, you have a quick catch up, but I'll see them again in a couple of weeks. It's a really great community. I love it.
Yeah. Preach, lady, preach. All right.
And David Green is fantastic. He hires me for stuff. I think he's brilliant. And the TikTok stuff I am so thrilled for him with all of the hits. I think he needs to be like a game show host, a comedy game show host.
Oh, for
sure. I think
that.
CBC would love him.
He could do that for sure. Any of those like the British panel shows that are in Britain, bring one of those over. Dave could rock that easy.
I wish they had those kinds of things here. I wish they had like the 9 out of 10 cats and Have I Got News for You and all these shows that they have, and it's all comics on the panels. They don't have that here, and I wish they could bring it in because there's so much talent and so many great personalities and interesting voices out there, and I think the Canadian TV could do with some of that content.
Oh, the CBC could cut those up and use them in a million places.
Yeah.
You can put it on CBC. You could put it on CBC Radio. You could put it on CBC.ca. Like you could put it all everywhere.
Yeah. And the format's already there. It's already set up. You just need to slot, and you have all of the talent already here.
Listen to you, just taking over Canadian media.
Yeah, right. I tell you. When I get to Halifax, I'll be like, this is what you should be doing.
Talk to everyone.
Yeah.
It's screaming at me here, Fiona. It's going to cut us off. Thank you so much. And hopefully I see you soon in person. We see you soon in person.
Yes. Tell people to buy my album.
Buy the album, right? We're going to put a little picture of it right now with a link right now.
Yes, we will.
Great.
Right
perfect.
Now. All right. Bye.
Good to see you guys. Thanks. Wash your hands.
I love that lady.
Oh, she's awesome.
That was awesome. She's so good.
Not a bad thing to say about her, and she doesn't have a bad thing to say about anyone else, you know? She's one of those really good people.
Not out in the open anyways. She doesn't say anything bad.
Well,
I agree. Yeah. So that was fun, man. And I hope her album gets, even if one person buys it from this, that's awesome. I'll pump this up in Orangeville for sure, because I know all my friends in Orangeville absolutely loved her. So
Oh, for sure.
yeah, I'll try to get everyone back home to watch, and we'll see if they buy the album. Hopefully, even if one person does, it's worth it for, right? And I love talking about like Canadian comedy, because it's just different than American comedy, right? Like we just live in a different reality.
Oh, for sure.
In terms of like being able to make a career, there's so few people that can do it, and I love that Fiona's so close.
Yeah, she's so close to blowing up.
Yeah, I love her. It's a lot of fun. So anyways, what do you got going on, buddy?
Nothing, man. This is the highlight of my week, as always. Just preparing the last week episode and get ready for the next week episode. That's really how it goes.
For quarantine to end.
Yeah. I mean, then we can do comedy again.
Yeah, Niagara got screwed. But we didn't get screwed. We had like an outbreak of workers in a nursery, so we didn't get bumped up. But that, like, phase 2 that other places are moving into, that still is nowhere close to a comedy club opening.
No.
Like, it's like bars can have their patio open outside. People still aren't allowed inside a place.
Yeah.
So we're still, and they said we have to wait 2 to 4 weeks to see how that goes before we can get to the next phase. So Niagara's not even in that phase. And then when we get into that phase, you still have to wait a month before you get to the next phase, which is like people inside, but probably at half capacity.
I see. What's weird to me is that we can, assuming people from Ontario are listening to this primarily, the rules were announced today for the second wave of opening. But what's weird to me is how they're allowing things like barbershops to be open, but they're
Look
not
at yourself right now, Mitch.
Well, no, what I mean is, but they're not putting restrictions on who can go. Meaning, I can't get a barbershop here in Niagara, but I can get in my car and go to Barrie and get my haircut.
Oh, yeah, like which is
not far. Well, Barrie is, but London's not far.
Was Hamilton included? Like, was Hamilton?
No, the whole Golden Horseshoe.
Okay, because I was like, imagine, like, where I live, I'm 3 things on the highway from Stony Creek, which is Hamilton. Like, I could have just, right? Like, it's, and there are somewhere, wherever, I haven't gone through the map close enough, but somewhere there's a adjoining territory that one's closed and one's not.
Oh, of course.
So someone's 17 feet from.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. And it's just crazy, but I don't know. I don't have a better solution, right? Like, we have to do what we have to do. It's just so brutal for comedians. I mean, imagine, again, Fiona has that part-time gig she talked about, but imagine being a full-time comedian. Like, that's how you make your money, and not being Joe Rogan or Tom Segura or Sebastian Maniscalco or Joe Coy or these guys, like 1%ers with a ton of bank, right? Imagine being the grinding out road comic, does cruise ships twice a year to bump up their pay. Like, what are these? Like, these are paycheck to paycheck people, but in the world of comedy. So they're just like everybody else who just has nothing right now, and they live on the road. And I don't know, it's got to be tough for people like that.
Oh, for sure. And the clubs themselves, totally.
These are
small
100%.
businesses that rely on foot traffic and rely on people coming in. Like,
have you talked to Mark? Mark is the owner of our local club, Showtime.
Talked to him a couple of weeks ago.
And
I didn't ask like
how's the cash going?
Yeah, I didn't want. I felt that was a little extra personal, but he said he himself was doing well, which I think is good.
Yeah, and I know Patrick Coppolino, they just did a GoFundMe for Levity in Hamilton. So Levity is the club in Hamilton. Showtime's the club in St. Catharines. Like, there are two main. Well, Showtime's our main club, but we go to Levity as well when we can, just because of geography. 2 great comedy clubs for the 2 different cities, but like, they're doing a GoFundMe to try to buy PPE and stuff, and I think like disinfectant wipes and all that type of stuff, so that they can just continually wipe everything down, I think is the plan.
Oh, is that what the GoFundMe's for?
That's what I understood it was for. I would have to, but it was cool too, because it wasn't just like hey, give us money.
Right.
Like, hey, if you give us this much money, I think it was like, if you give us $250, you got like a year pass.
Oh, that's cool.
So you got like, I don't know what it was. Like, it's on their GoFundMe, the exact description. But it was kind of neat the way they did it. And then like there was other, like if $50, you got a ticket to any weekend you wanted in the next year or something like that. So, which is cool. So they're asking for money, but they're also giving you something like a thank you for supporting. And last I saw, they had quite a bit, which is awesome. Cause like you said, Mitch, imagine this takes 6 more months. All these comedians are dying to get back out there, and half the clubs are gone.
And the bars
and the venues. Yeah. The bar venues that we do, like that would be, what does that do for everybody? That would be so hard, man.
That would be the absolute worst case scenario for this industry. But it's tough to talk about because there's a lot of industries you can point to, and I'm sure some people will be like, comedy, we are clowns in the modern sense. We are very much modern clowns.
But everyone cares about sports and they're millions of dollars, right? Entertainment's entertainment. That is just entertainment.
That's fair.
It's just more popular.
The difference is I don't go into a bar to watch two people like play ping pong. Like there's some.
Have you watched ping pong on like Facebook?
Yeah, I've seen like world championship.
Unreal.
Yeah, but I mean like two guys in a bar. You don't go to like those smaller venues. People don't care about it because it's a small scope.
I know what you're saying. Like no one's. Yeah, like realistically, some of these open mics we do is like going to watch 13-year-olds play Little League.
Yes.
Right? Like they're learning how to play baseball.
And every once in a while, there's that one freak kid who's like way bigger
real
than
good,
else, real good, hitting dingers.
Who's that basketball player?
Yeah, exactly. Every once in a while, there's one of those guys who shows up, and you're like, how long has he been doing it? A year? Oh, geez.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what it is, right? So it's tough, but like you said, do you think, because I've heard this question asked a few times by people, do you think it's going to be we lose people like comedians, or do you think there's going to be everyone just fighting for the mic?
Well, statistically, we're going to lose comedians just to the virus. So,
Relax.
I mean,
so we're down 1%.
There's a couple of people that I look at, and I'm like, oh, they're not too healthy. They were looking a little worse.
I don't know if they're gonna.
I'm not gonna say who, but if you're thinking of who I'm thinking of, we're gonna be sad. But
what? But seriously, what do you think? Do you think people are gonna just be like, I found my new hobby?
The initial thing is it's going to be people, because what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of new people who took this time to write who have never written before. I think we're going to get a lot of that. I think we're going to get a lot of COVID babies of comedy. I definitely see that happening. Of the people in the scene now, I think there's always people who are on the precipice. They only do it a couple times a year. Those people could drop off at any moment. I could see them dropping off. But what I can see is an influx of people who want to find a stage.
They've been watching the Joe Rogan podcast all quarantine. They've been seeing the Netflix specials getting pumped out.
Yeah, they're looking at that, and they think they could do it. Just like we all had an impetus that got us out to do it, right? Like ours were just more individualized. This seems to be more, I think, more universal.
What was yours? Because I don't even know if we probably talked about this, but it was probably at like 1 a.m. driving home from somewhere.
That's most likely true. It was just I turned 30. I was turning.
You had a 30 midlife crisis.
Yeah. Well, a cardiologist once told me 60 is my max anyway, so 30 is midlife. But what an asshole, right? Tell that to like a 22.
I don't know if they're allowed to say that, like ethically.
What a dick. But anyway, so I was turning 30, and I was like, I'd been writing stuff since I was 23. No, younger than that, 20. And I'd never, ever done it.
Why do you do the same 6 bits over and over?
Oh, fuck you. Because the shit I wrote when I was... the shit I wrote when I was 20 is dog shit. There's a lot of that. There's
been growth.
Oh yeah, like I personally was not at a point in my life where I could maturely tell jokes and be calm on a stage. I just couldn't do it that early.
Oh, I couldn't have done it either, so no judging from me.
Yeah,
I'll just make
the
the
young
judgy
people
comments.
who do it, man, I'm always amazed when there's like an 18-year-old taking the plunge or younger.
I was reading the other day, Seth Rogen started at like 14.
I think he was younger than that. I think it was like 12 or 11.
Might have been. I was just like looking through to see if he still did stand up. I was like, does he still do stand up? And like headlines were coming up in video as like Seth Rogen's at 14 years old doing it. I was like, what?
I've seen the video. He does jokes about like his grandmother and being Jewish.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it's a lot of stuff that's like from the perspective of a 14-year-old, right? It's like, well, what can a 14-year-old write about? Well, I got a grandma, so I'll write about.
Yeah, he's not going to be real in depth about like a political.
Yeah, it's very much what a 14-year-old would write about.
Yeah, so that's.
But it's good. The difference is it's a lot better than a lot of 14-year-olds.
Well, I'm trying to. What was the first movie?
Seth Rogen?
Yeah.
Well, he was in like 40-Year-Old Virgin.
No, he wrote something like before that.
Superbad was what he wrote. That like it didn't come out before that, but that was the script he wrote that propelled him.
But he wrote that when he was real young, didn't he?
Yes, yeah, him and his writing partner.
He has a writing partner?
Yep. I forget the guy's name, and I feel shitty that I can't remember his name. It's because he's not in the movies.
He just
Evan
writes
something. He just writes them with them. I think it's Evan something.
That's kind of cool, actually. Like the guy just knows what he's good at and what he wants to do.
It's sort of like Judd Apatow. Like Judd Apatow was a stand-up. You know,
yeah,
in front, but he's way better behind camera and doing the writing and doing the directing and doing that stuff, and not the performing side as much, even though he was a stand-up.
Do you like? I've always thought about this because there's guys like that do both, and I was talking to my cousin. I was like, I don't want to do any of that other stuff, right? Like I know
dog shit at the other stuff.
Pardon?
I'm dog shit at the other stuff, so I don't have a choice.
Even if I wasn't, like, I was like, I have literally zero appetite to
act.
Try to be an actor. Like, I don't want to be Seinfeld in a sitcom. Like,
the only advantage, well, not the only advantage, the main advantage to doing that, though, would be that it would get you more gigs.
Correct.
Like,
it opens
Brett
doors.
Butt becomes Brett Butt because of Corner Gas, you know.
Well, he was already doing stuff, but yeah,
he didn't become Brett Butt until Corner Gas, so like he didn't.
Even Jerry D.
Yeah, Jerry D. Once Mr. D came out, like that was a huge bump for him. Now he's doing Family Feud, but
I mean, I guess whatever. It depends on what your goals are. Like, if you want to just keep getting paid and be in the entertainment industry, if that's your thing, and I'm not judging, like for sure that can be your thing. But I know that like, there's plenty of people that around the scene that want to act too, that want to do movies too, that would do whatever in the entertainment industry. And there's some guys that have already, but for me, I just like, there's something weird about that single microphone on a stage.
What was your impetus to do it?
I've always wanted to. I was just chicken shit. And then I just finally said, well, my impetus is pretty fucking depressing, but I just said, fuck it, and did it. Right? Like, so, and well, whatever. Well, it gets depressing, but I went through a period of time where a bunch of people in my life died rapidly. Right. And I got depressed, and I had to, I used the gym and some other things to I lost a bunch of weight. And I just started saying fuck it. Like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to do things. Like, all this shit I've been scared to do my whole life, just fuck it. Like, no one can do something that's going to be worse than that to me. Right? Like,
that's what makes you unstoppable, though.
Bombing on stage, whatever. It sucks, but it's not the worst thing that's ever happened to me. So why the fuck wouldn't I risk that for all the good potential? So I just said,
what was the worst dick you ate on stage?
A couple months. So it was less than a year ago today, and I've only been in about a year and a half. So it was right after Top Comic last year. Riding high. Did some shows in Brantford for Dylan, who runs shows in that area. And he put me on a show in Toronto. Jimmy England was there.
Okay.
AJ Bate was there.
Yeah.
Joe Botello was there. They started. Didn't know going in, but it was a grimy bar in Toronto, complete ambush show. None of the people there knew there was a comedy show happening. They did not want us to be there. One guy was hammered and just wanted the microphone. Like, it got to the point where my 6 minutes was talking to this hammered guy, because it was the only way to get anyone to pay any attention at all. They were playing pool in the back. Like, there was pool balls clanging, and it was just, oh my God, it was awful. It was awful. I haven't done Mate, like, because I know that's one of your worst ones.
That's one of my worst ones, but I've done bad bars. I've done a bar in Toronto I won't name that I was like, why? The journey here was not. I've done two actually.
Oh, Toronto. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah. I've done two, and one of them, they're both of the bar shows I've done in Toronto. I've been like, no one's here for this. No one wants to be here.
If I'm going to Toronto now that I've been in this enough, I don't think I'm going to Toronto unless it's a club or a charity show.
Oh, I would still go. The thing is I'm stupid. I would still go back for another bar show.
But I can do those bad bar shows here.
True, but it's the networking part, I think, that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
to go out there and be able to say to Toronto comics like, "Hey, I'm a comedian too. You may not know who I am, but this is who I am. This is what I do." And
yeah, that's fair. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. Again, because the driving, it's the time to do it, right? I'm fine with networking, and I'm fine with doing shows. And I'm fine with doing bad shows, right? Like, I'll do a bad show in Niagara. I'll do a bad show in Hamilton because they're here. It's only half an hour away. I'll do those bar shows. I'll do whatever. It's just when you drive 2 hours for your 5 minutes, and it just hurts that much more.
We should do Mate together when everything comes back.
You gotta split. Like, you can't go back to back.
Comedians? Yeah, you can.
Well, you can, but they hate us already for being there.
That's why. I'll go second. I'll take the worst of it.
Go first, second, right off the hop.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will do there. Yeah, we'll do that for sure. Because why not?
We should do that. We should
why
do
not?
that room.
Mate's usually Thursdays, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So that's Showtime Sam night.
That's true.
I think that's why I haven't really done it, because I always just try to support Showtime.
Yeah, and they do it weekly. Well, they were doing it weekly before COVID, where every week, whereas Mate used to be every week and Showtime was every 2 weeks.
Yeah, so there was an in the middle. Yeah. So we'll see. Again, who knows what everything's going to look like when this is done, right?
They might just ban comedy. They might just be like, we're done laughing forever.
Yeah, this is serious stuff and we can't laugh. No more funny.
Yeah.
You'll have to wear like a suit, cut your hair.
Yeah, we'll have to go back to the early days of what's his fucking name? George Carlin.
He wasn't in a suit.
The early days of Carlin? Yes. Really? Carlin used to be in a suit and a tie and have the whole...
Come on. With the ponytail?
No. No ponytail. No ponytail. Clean cut. Shaved. Back in like the 50s. And then it was in like the 60s when Lenny Bruce started that Carlin was like, hey, I can be like this guy.
I can go full hippie.
Yeah, I can just do that. And then when the 70s hit, that's when Carlin hit. And that's when...
Yeah.
But in his early days, he was same with Richard Pryor.
I knew with Pryor because I watched the documentary on Pryor.
Right, I am Richard Pryor,
and he was trying to do the Bill Cosby thing, right? Like clean cut, Captain Everyman.
Yeah,
and it wasn't his reality, right? So it worked. He was funny, but he wasn't funny. Richard Pryor funny.
Yeah, I did like the one joke he did in that doc where he's talking about like. He lives in a Mexican area. He's black. He's got a Jewish landlord, and he goes to a Christian school, and he gets out of the house one day, and someone goes, "He's all of them. Get him."
He's all. See, that's good. That is good.
That's a funny joke.
But even for back then, though, that's more of his reality, right? Like that's more of his style, right? That's not the classic Cosby type joke. But all right, I'm starting to lose my voice.
All right, well, I'm
getting all raspy.
So,
hey, buddy, thanks for another good podcast.
Necessarily rude. So,
it's okay.
I'm tired.
Whatever.
This was another good podcast. This was a great podcast.
It was a great podcast. More work for you though, because you gotta edit in that stuff for Fiona.
Oh, for sure. I'll put a link in the description and everything too for Magically Malicious, because if we could promote that, like you said, if we get one album sale or one extra listen on Spotify or wherever it's available, then fucking
right.
She deserves it, right?
Yeah,
Least we can do for her, because she's awesome.